This is Walter Fieldsman, SNewsTV.com, coming to you from Johnson C. Smith University here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're standing with Dr. Patrick C. Graham, the CEO of the Urban League of Central Carolina and an alumni of Johnson C. Smith University, class of 1992. They're making me feel old today. And Ms. Okita Brown, who is president of the Central Carolina Urban League Young Professionals Auxiliary, as well as a Johnson C. Smith alumni, class of 1997. I will tell you the 80s were a good year, despite what you might hear. So look, we're here tonight, and we are witnessing what could be a very historic event. And the Urban League has been a part of the black community's fabric now for 100 years. The Urban League played a central role in the civil rights movement under Whitney Young. And today continues to play an important role talking about economic issues in our community. Where do you see this election taking our community if the results turn out as we are all hoping they will tonight?
I think that one of the things it'll do is give us a new civil rights paradigm, because we have been thinking in an old paradigm about issues of race and gender, class for some time. And I think that with a candidate like a Barack Obama, for example, you are now looking at us going forward in the 21st century with new thinking. I think that W. Du Bois was correct that the issue of the 20th century would be the color line. I think now more and more the issue of the 21st century will become class. And we will have issues of race, gender, sexuality, religion, and immigration intertwined within those class discussions. And I think that Obama understands that. And so when you understand that class will be our issue, it makes it easier for you to reach across other social boundaries where we haven't before. And I think that that's the type of candidate he represents. He's also the type of candidate that represents a younger generation's perspective on what's important to them. And I think that if we are to move forward, we're going to have to surrender the reins of our leadership to this younger generation and let them explore the world in the way that they see, and let our older generation provide still some guidance and support, but let that leadership come through.
Well, you hit upon a very important point, and coming from the Young Professionals Auxiliary, you know, one of the things we've been talking about for decades in our community is that young black professionals aren't engaged in any sort of social movement. Are you seeing a difference this year with this campaign?
Absolutely. I think that the young adults that want to get engaged and involved, particularly with where we are now with the Barack Obama campaign, it has grown tenfold. People see that it's a time of change, and they want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So we've had quite a few different organizations come to us, approach us about partnering with them to really get the word out, knocking on doors, etc. So absolutely.
Well, you know, when we flew down here, we were reading the newspapers to see what were the latest issues that were percolating in this campaign, and we were really surprised because North Carolina has become a battleground state. Tonight, there's a strong chance that you may lose your incumbent United States Senator Elizabeth Dole. She's facing a tough fight and could lose that race. What are the issues that you see on the ground in our community that are really driving people beyond the point of wanting to just support Barack Obama? What is going on in our community that people sense that now is the moment to get involved?
Well, I think one is the economy. I think that people have started to realize that there are people in this nation who are running this country who do not have the interest of all people. And I think that particularly reveals itself in terms of what has happened with our housing crisis. I think we've also seen it happen on Wall Street. So that's one of the things. I think the other thing, too, is that you're seeing a shift in migration of many people throughout this country to the Southeast that's actually generating a different type of votership. And so a lot of these individuals are coming from other areas of the country, also other areas of the world. And that also has an influence, because now you're not talking about just rural communities, but you're talking about metropolitan centers that have a diverse group of people from throughout the world that have more of a world view of looking at issues, especially the economy. And I think they're justified in that because we can obviously see that our downturn has actually influenced the downturn of many other nations' economies throughout this globe. So I think that that's one of the things I definitely see here is that you see a changing demographic, and not just in terms of race or ethnicity, but in terms of thought.
Now, I remember the days when I was considered to be a young professional, and the things we used to talk about in terms of really thinking about our careers and how we position ourselves out there. You know, given this economic downturn, have you heard any concerns raised among young professionals in the auxiliary about what this means to their careers and how they navigate the waters in these tough times?
Absolutely. It's interesting that you asked that question. Just last night, we hosted a seminar on personal branding and what that means and how you present yourselves and how you show up and what it's going to take, what people look at. We are in a day and age where it's not just about a cover letter and a resume. They're looking at Facebook pages. They're looking at MySpace pages. They're looking at LinkedIn. They're looking at all different ways to get connected to a particular young professional. So in any facet of your life, you have to be ready. You have to present yourselves and put your best foot forward at all times. So we're trying to share with our young professionals that it's really important that they understand what that means and how to actually execute against that.
Well, you know, as a black college graduate, one of our traditions is to hate on other schools. But, you know, since I've been here, I will tell you I'm really impressed by the Smith family and community, because it appears to be a very close-knit community of people who support each other in their endeavors. And I want you to share just a moment what it means to be a Smith graduate and what was the experience that you remember most that shaped your years here on this campus?
I think one of the best things that Smith does, and I think that in a way Barack is taking another avenue to get at this, is getting back to basics. I mean, Smith was very strong on giving you those basics of arithmetic, reading, writing, and you could transfer the skills that they gave you anywhere. And I'm a prime example of that because, you know, I graduated here with a marketing degree, but my master's in Afro-American Studies, my doctorate is in history. Therefore, they gave me a foundation that allowed me to be fluid enough to do whatever I desired as long as I put my mind to it and as long as I had those basics. So I think that one of the things that I will definitely say here, besides just being a wonderful family, is that they really gave you the basics. And I think that that's what we see lacking in a lot of our graduates, not from here, but in general, just not having those basic skills, how to work in groups, how to actually explore avenues and do research. I think that those are the type of things that I got here that I see sometimes lacking in a lot of our students today.
Very important point.
I'd like to echo what Dr. Graham said, but I also would say, and I grew up at Smith. I became an adult at Smith. I learned how to take care of myself. I had to make $5 the last 7 days. So, you know, and Smith, the one thing I really appreciated about the professors and the faculty here at Smith when I was here was that they didn't handhold. They said, this is what you need to do and this is how you need to accomplish it. Go do it, come back to me, and I'll help you find a way if you can't find your way. So I hold that within me now. Everywhere I go, I always think about all of my options, think about how I'm going to actually accomplish a goal, set it, and move forward. So I actually got that foundation here at JCSU, and I'm very thankful for it.
And I think, you know, those stories that I hear from both of you, I think most graduates of black colleges understand that it's sort of, it's more than just an education. It really is about shaping your life as a young person. And we just want to thank both of you. Two examples of the best of the 1990s from Johnson C. Smith, Dr. Patrick C. Graham and Ms. Okita Brown. Thank you.
I will say this, too. In the 80s, you had Reagan, we had Clinton.
Well, that's true. The 80s were like that. We do remember that, don't we? Thank you so much.